Hello there, thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this 24th day of September 2025. And our guest tonight is already in studio. That is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, who is the former Vice President. He's here on the bench, very ready, and of course getting ready to talk to us about what he thinks about State of the Nation. That will be later on in the conversation on JKL. But also we are live tonight in New York. Ayub Abdikadir is right there. This is the high-level week for the United Nations General Assembly. We'll be linking with him to tell us about the latest in terms of the communication and the messages that are coming from that UNGA. That's later on in the conversation and in the news tonight. But first, here are the top stories tonight.
Hatutakubali mtu yoyote iwe Mkenya ama mgeni kucheza na uhuru wetu na our symbols of national unity, including our national flag.
Insult on Kenyan flag. Murkomen condemns outrageous desecration of Kenyan flag, orders arrests as public fury mounts. It was Meg. Former CS Moses Kuria says former US Ambassador Meg Whitman misled President Ruto on the Haiti mission, saying she ran Kenya for 2 years.
Hii maneno ya SHA ifanyi kazi kabisa. Tulilazimishwa tulipe kwa mwaka mzima, lakini haitusaidia hata kidogo. Sasa sijui kama tutaenda kwa waganga kama wakati ya zamani ama.
Hundreds of patients left stranded. Public outcry as rural private hospitals turn away SHA card users. Seven days and counting. Lecturer strike shuts down public universities as dons take their protest to Jogoo House.
Our sign language interpreter is Yola Nzale. We begin tonight with a story about a year after giving the nod to the controversial mission in Haiti during a state visit to Washington. President William Ruto now says the multinational security support mission remains replete with underfunding and logistical challenges. During his address to the UN General Assembly, the president termed the current structure of the UN Security Council exclusionary, underscoring the need for urgent reforms to address what he labeled an unfair post-1945 order. From the UN headquarters, Ayub Abdikadir now joins us. Ayub, maybe you can help us into this conversation that the president was giving right there.
Well, Sam, we are live from the UN headquarters here in New York, the United States of America, and the president in the nearly half an hour speech talked about the need for the restructuring of the United Nations, the need for more funding given the cuts that the UN has experienced and how it's holding up under the enormous financial constraint. Also talking about the mission in Haiti, and the president by extension also said there's need for more representation at the United Nations Security Council, one of the topmost organ in terms of decision making. And here is what the president said this morning here at the United Nations.
Africa also marks 20 years since the Ezulwini Consensus and the City Declaration.
The president's fourth address to the United Nations General Assembly came a day after US President Donald Trump made his, discrediting the United Nations and bringing New York to standstill. Taking to the podium, Dr. Ruto billed the UN fit for purpose, outlining Kenya's heavy load in the region and in Haiti, calling for the world's attention to the Caribbean country and the cash crunch facing the mission in Port-au-Prince.
The mission has operated in a volatile environment under enormous constraints. It has been underfunded, under-equipped, and operated below 40% of its authorized personnel strength. Our police officers have valiantly shouldered responsibilities without the full logistical support that would accompany any mission sanctioned by the United Nations. Despite these challenges, and against all odds, the MSS has delivered results many thought were impossible.
The president on the world stage once again called for the reformation of the UN's topmost organ, the Security Council, decrying Africa's underrepresentation, calling for additional voices to dilute what he labeled traditional voices, holding the world at ransom.
Africa deserves, ladies and gentlemen, at the very least, 2 permanent seats with full rights, including the right to veto, and 2 additional non-permanent seats on the United Nations Security Council.
And heaping the praise on the United Nations and warning against pitfalls its predecessor, the League of Nations, had faced in the lead-up to the Great Depression and World War II. The president also called for the reformation of the global financial institution, which he said are unfairly working for the global south.
Institutions rarely fail because they lack vision or ideals. More often, they drift into irrelevance when they do not adapt, when they hesitate to act, and when they lose legitimacy. To remain relevant, institutions must be reimagined, must be reformed, renewed, and aligned with emerging realities.
His optimistic address on the 80th birthday of the United Nations comes against the backdrop of deadbeat members and a budget crisis that have pushed the citadel of peace and security to the brink of liquidity crisis. And though the UN has known many crises since 1945, a mix of factors, Trump's ascendancy, conflicts, climate change, and deepening multilateralism pose traumatic scenarios for this institution, which now gears up for desperate times. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV, at the United Nations, New York. Well, Sam, that is the reality of the United Nations today. Antonio Guterres, who yesterday spoke before the Brazilian president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, also decried the very same challenges that the president today talked about. And this is in contrast to what Donald Trump, the American president, yesterday said when he took to the podium, calling out the United Nations, saying it no longer is fit for purpose. And that is the danger that institutions under the United Nations are at the moment facing, other than the financial crisis. Only America and China account for 40% of its budget, and payments often delay in coming to the UN accounts. And that is the challenge, the uphill task it's facing, Sam, and the uncharted waters that the Antonio Guterres-led organization formed after World War II today faces. Back to you, Sam, in studio.
All right, thank you. Ayub, live from New York, and we'll be having a conversation about that with the guest tonight, the former Vice President of Kenya, Kalonzo Musyoka. At the same time, President William Ruto on Monday expressed frustration over severe logistical and resource challenges hampering the Kenya-led multinational security mission in Haiti. He accused the United Nations and other partner nations of failing to deliver on their promises of support. His remarks come amid controversy after former Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria alleged that President Ruto was misled into deploying Kenyan troops to Haiti by former U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, adding fuel to the debate. Emmanuel Toh reports.
The mandate must be clear, predictable.
He expended a bigger chunk of his address to the United Nations, blasting those he blames went back on their promises to support the Kenya-led multinational security support mission in Haiti. President Dr. William Ruto, who spoke passionately at a high-level event on Haiti, co-hosted by Kenya and the United States, on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, opening up on why the mission was literally running on fumes. Despite an initial agreement to have 2,500 security personnel deployed to the war-torn country, only 989 were availed, with Kenya contributing 735 of them, representing 3/4 of the total mission.
We have been operating at a 40% capacity. Initially, it was expected that 2,500 security personnel would be made available. Unfortunately, they were not made available.
The president also turning to some of the substandard vehicles provided, suggesting Kenya may have been shooting in the dark the whole time.
Most of the vehicles were second-hand vehicles, and therefore they broke down many times. And in fact, it put our personnel in great danger. It cannot be what Kenya has gone through, a game of guesswork.
And now the assertions by former CS Moses Kuria that the country may have been misled into the mission, adding to the fray. On his post on X, Kuria said, quote, "The fact that the Trump administration admitted during the special UN session on Haiti that MSS lacks a broad mandate backed by a strong UN resolution is just the tip of the iceberg."
Morning. How are you? I'm very well. Thank you.
Kuria blaming the former U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, for allegedly misadvising President Ruto to the deadly Port-au-Prince mission, adding, quote, Ambassador Meg Whitman literally ruled Kenya for 2 years. The Haiti misadventure was one of the many personal decisions that she took. Antony Blinken was hapless in her wake. Whitman, who resigned soon after U.S. President Donald Trump came into office, was a close confidant of President Ruto, once acting as the president's master of ceremony in California during his state visit to the U.S.
The gangs, in my very honest opinion, are cowards.
While the UN has pledged to clarify the mandate of the new mission to Haiti and double troop numbers from 2,500 to 5,000, questions persist over whether Kenya has banned and continues to burn its fingers in Haiti, with President Ruto confirming the loss of 3 gallant soldiers in the conflict. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
All right, and with that story, we want to engage the former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, who is here with us in studio. Thank you for coming, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you, Sam.
And let's begin on that question about the President complaining about the support when it comes to
that one. Okay.
To the Haiti mission. What are your thoughts?
Very clear thoughts. The Haiti mission is a failed mission, misadvised. We said as opposition, right from the word go, that we should not have taken our boys to Haiti. When we attended the funeral of one of them somewhere near Kitengela, we even called on William Ruto to make sure that our boys come home. He didn't listen. And now he's complaining to the whole world. In fact, what you should do, because I'm a foreign relations practitioner, Sam, I just want you to just find out how many heads of state attended that William Ruto convened high segment on Haiti. You'll be amazed. The whole thing is a disaster. We insist that our boys should come back home, and without a proper mandate of the UN Security Council, whose responsibility it is to ensure world peace and security, William Ruto has no business trying to now cry over spilled milk. Let him bite the bullet and bring our boys back.
How does that happen? As a former Foreign Affairs Minister, how does that happen? Because the country has already expressed confidence. Now the President is complaining the support that was promised has not come. How do you pull out?
Who promised that? Who promised that funding? Can I tell Kenyans that on the day the Gen Zs went to visit Parliament, that was the day the first batch to Haiti actually left against a court order, which was very clear that that mission was misadvised. So first of all, you're going against a home-based situation advised by our courts of law. Of course, that goes to tell you that this is one administration that has no regard for constitutionalism, for the rule of law, blatant, and now they've been unmasked at the world level. This is a failed mission.
That's what I'm asking, because at the end of the day, we may have our internal disagreements, but the image of the country
is very important.
Is on the spotlight.
How
do you pull out? What is
I'll just tell you, for example, how many heads of state visitor actually attended this William Ruto convened high-level segment on Haiti? You just find maybe third secretaries, second secretaries, and him lecturing to people who are actually clearly not even interested. I mean, when Donald Trump took over, he said they're not interested in this mission. And so without the support of a major UN security member, right, with a veto power, and I see Ruto also complaining about that Africa should have 2 veto powers and the rest of it. The story about the reform of the UN Security Council has been on for a very long time. And so it's really just talking to the world, talking hot air, literally. I can tell you that a professor from Texas texted me this afternoon and saying, of course, he overdid it because he said William Ruto was seen walking across to the UN. That's a good thing. Even Macron was actually walking. But the important thing is nobody's listening to William Ruto and to Kenyan story. Because they also look at these things. You want to reform the UN Security Council. You want to ensure international peace and security. And you are involving yourself in regional conflicts The world is watching what William Ruto's administration is doing in the Sudan, for example.
So if you're saying that, and you haven't counted how many heads of state were in that address.
You'll be surprised if there are any, in fact, it could just be William Ruto alone.
Wow. So
I want to be proved wrong.
All right, we'll check that. But as you say that, so are we where we are because of President Ruto, or Kenya has really fallen in the rank of nations in the world?
The mission to Haiti, I reiterate, was misadvised. It didn't even at the very initial stages even get the nod of the UN Security Council. Without the UN Security Council, that was a mission impossible. And by the way, we must remind ourselves, at independence, we are seen to be sending Kenyans who are as dark as the Haitis to go and kill each other. That in itself looked very bad. Remember, there were Haiti citizens demonstrating outside New York and said the puppet Ruto, for example. This has actually come out to be true, all right? So again, misapplication, misadvice on Kenya's foreign policy. I must tell you, Sam, that I had the opportunity to address the UN General Assembly, UNGA, a record 7 times when I was a foreign minister. So we know these things.
Okay.
And nobody's taking William Ruto and Kenya seriously. So the image of the country is actually very important.
You haven't answered my question, Your Excellency.
Yes.
Because I'm asking, if the image of the country is fading,
yes,
is it because of William Ruto or the steps or the decisions we've taken as a country? And if that's the case, which ones?
You know, normally, it is William Ruto who chairs a Kenyan cabinet, right? It is William Ruto, sometimes maybe on advice of a foreign minister, in this case, Madividi, right? And they take a position. I'm telling you, the image of the country, since Kenya Kwanza took over, has suffered immensely. And with that, of course, it's all of us. It's all of us. So when Ruto is talking there, by the way, even look at the attendance of the General Assembly. Yeah, if it was President Lula, for example, when he was addressing the UN, you'd have seen the level of attendance, or Donald Trump himself. Yeah, but come and talk to yourself, talk over the same old stories about which nobody is interested, the reform of the UN Security Council,
yep,
and the fact that Africa should have 2 permanent seats. I don't think anybody is listening. So there must be a re-engineering. Over that, I agree with William Ruto, reimagination of the UN Security Council. We must remember that after the Second World War, right, that is when the UN came to being. Right. And you cannot think of a reformed UN Security Council without, for example, bringing on board Japan and Germany. All right? So these are issues that are ongoing. Yeah. But I think nobody is listening to William Ruto. Of course, Africa is important.
It's important that you're saying that you agree with President William Ruto on that question of reforming the structure of the UN, because he's suggesting that there should be 2 permanent seats in the UN Security Council. If you're of the same thought, what should the process look like in convincing?
Well, you start at the level of the AU Commission, right? Let Africa speak with one voice in Addis Ababa and wherever. And by the way, I must tell you, when I was foreign minister and subsequently when I was in education, it was when Kofi Annan, the late Kofi Annan, came here and promoted Nairobi to a UN headquarters. And I think going forward, we might be able to witness Nairobi hosting bigger delegations at the level of the United Nations, bigger than, of course, what started that Mustafa Tolba as UNEP and others. So the UN is important to us. Nairobi is a UN headquarters. And therefore, we should expect a situation where the Kenyan head of state talking at the level of the UN is given recognition. But I'm sorry, if he talks as William Ruto, this is William Ruto's problem, all right? Because he has not consulted with his colleagues at the level of the AU. So there's an AU resolution. He should be referring to an AU resolution on the need for Africa to get 2 permanent seats, for example.
And of course, we'll be talking more about some of these developments and so much more which is affecting the country. But first, let's focus on a story which is about Kenya and Somalia's diplomatic rivalry has flared up again after viral videos showed unruly fans desecrating the Kenyan flag during last weekend's CAF Champions League clash between Kenya Police FC and Mogadishu City FC. And the clips showing the flag being stomped on and kicked around have sparked public outrage and official condemnation. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has ordered the arrest, prosecution and deportation of the culprits. Somalia's ambassador to Kenya, Jabril Ibrahim Abdullah, also denounced the acts, as Seth Olale now reports.
It all began with this viral video, two Mogadishu City fans FC taking turns mocking the Kenyan flag. One spreads it on the ground and kicks it into the air, while the other grabs it mid-flight, rubbing it against his crotch as they burst into laughter. In a second, seemingly well-choreographed video, a Mogadishu fan wearing a traditional Somali sarong walks up to a Kenyan Police FC supporter, snatches his Kenyan flag and tosses it casually to the ground. The clips, which have since gone viral, emerged after last Saturday's CAF Champions League clash between Kenya Police FC and Mogadishu City FC at Nyayo Stadium. The incident triggered immediate outrage and condemnation, both at the stadium and across social media, with many Kenyans describing it as a blatant act of disrespect. Sports journalist Tony Kwalanda condemned the act, saying, "The flag of Kenya is being mocked, shredded, misused and abused by Mogadishu FC fans at Nyayo Stadium in Nairobi." Mohamed Abdikay stated on X that this is not representative of the average Somali. Sisi hatukuangi hivi. These boys should be disciplined and banned from future matches. Football is not about this sort of behavior. According to the law, a person who shows disrespect in speech, manner or writing to the flag shall be guilty of an offense and liable to a fine or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months. Interior Cabinet Secretary, while presiding over Jukwaa la Usalama Forum in Wajir, called for action to be taken against the culprits.
Hatutakubali mtu yoyote iwe Mkenya ama mgeni kucheza na uhuru wetu na our symbols of national unity, including our national flag. So, Panaiji, take the necessary legal action. Let the law take its course. As a Minister of Interior, we must show the world that we take our national flag seriously.
Interior is warning that Kenya will not be lenient to its neighbor citizens who disrespect the country.
Being in Kenya is a privilege. And when you play around with our national instruments of national unity, you lose the privilege to live in our country.
I have already directed the DCI ya kwamba huyu mtu anakanyaga bendera yetu ya Kenya. Bendera ile ilipiganiwa hapa mpaka tukapata uhuru yetu, si ni kweli? Hiyo anatucheza ama vipi? Na hatuwezi tukakubali kamwe. So the director of Directorate of Criminal Investigation is under direct instructions from the Inspector General, none other than Douglas Kanja Kirocho, that he must move with speed and efficiency and ensure that that man is arrested and taken before a court of law. Alafu koti zetu sifanye kazi yao. Bendera yetu lazima iheshimiwe na kila mmoja wetu.
Somali ambassador to Kenya, Jabril Ibrahim Abdullah, has condemned the acts, describing them as regrettable, adding that authorities are investigating the matter for possible action.
We regret and firmly condemn the action of few individuals whose behavior overshadow the remarkable performances of our two teams. Such incidents do not reflect the value of respect, friendship, and shared sovereignty that guide relationship between our two brotherly nations, Kenya and Somalia.
Relations between Kenya and Somalia have long been tense. After Somalia's independence in 1960, Somali's nationalists claimed Kenya's Northern Frontier District, NFD, has lost territory and pushed for its inclusion in a Greater Somalia. Britain rejected the demand, creating Kenya's northeastern region instead, before independence in 1963. The dispute triggered the Shifter War between 1963 and 1967, with Somalia-backed insurgents fighting to secede, as Kenya cracked down, branding them shifter or bandits. The war ended in 1967 but left behind death, displacement and destruction. Today, despite relative peace, Kenya remains involved in pacifying parts of Somalia. Both citizens and foreigners alike are being urged to promote and uphold the Constitution by respecting its values that include unity and peaceful coexistence in order to foster togetherness and cohesiveness. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, Wajir County.
And with that story, let's hear from the former Vice President. What's your take on that? How serious is such kind of an action happening in our own land?
Yeah, that action is despicable, unacceptable, and I like the passion with which Douglas Kanja has addressed that issue. And we hope there'll be action tomorrow. Kenyans want to see action, that you cannot play with our national flag. And recently, I mean, the importance and significance of our national flag has been demonstrated by young Kenyans. Even our young do value this. What our forefathers fought for, independence, to bring down the British flag, the Union Jack, and raising the Kenyan flag, which happened, by the way, by a guy called Kisoi Munyao on Mount Kenya. Now, many years, the Gen Zs are reliving that and being very proud of our national flag. So for anybody to do that, and by the way, the bit I find very, very strange is how that young boy is trying to urinate, do strange things. That is not acceptable.
How should Kenya react?
Well, of course, let us hope it is not a reflection of deeper things. But Somalia is a member of the East African community now. And even at the community level, I think when they meet at the level of members of parliament in Arusha and others, I think Somalia is yet to send their delegation of 9. We hope you'll be able to instill a sense of regionalism. You know, because the East African anthem is an amazing piece. Yeah, ili tutimize malengo yetu, umoja wetu udumu, umoja huwezi kudumu kama mafikira ni ya watu kama hawa ambao tumeona kwa runinga. We must condemn that act.
All right, and of course the ambassador of Somalia to Kenya has already condemned that situation. We'll wait to see how the developments end, including that promise that the DCI will be investigating and action be taken in the courts.
But what is there to investigate, Sam?
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear. What are you investigating? Just make the arrests and put it headline. Like now, you know, thanks to the Standard Media, you know, this British soldier who molested and killed a Kenyan lady in Laikipia has been brought to book. It's taken a while. This one is blatant, is there. Just arrest them.
Okay, all right.
And deport them, by the way. Yeah, and immediately they are sentenced or whatever, deport them if they are not Kenyan citizens.
Yeah.
If they are Kenyan citizens, then it's a very deep problem.
All right. We'll take a short break here on the JKL. We have so many more stories and, of course, a conversation to have with the former Vice President, including matters of the United Opposition, talking about what his thoughts are as we progress towards 2027, and, of course, what are his proposed solutions to the current challenges we witness as a country. We're back in a moment.
On JKL tonight, on 2027, Kalonzo Musyoka speaks on state of the nation, opposition politics, and his ambition on the presidency.
Welcome back. We're still watching JKL, and we want to go to the story of the standoff between the Social Health Authority and private hospitals' umbrella body, RUFA, has entered its second day with hundreds of patients caught in the crossfire. Some facilities have reportedly discharged patients who cannot pay cash, citing high operational costs. And as Laura Otieno now reports, health workers have also been affected by the suspension, with some having gone for months without payment. Private hospitals blame this state of affairs on lack of reimbursement from SHA.
48 hours after more than 700 hospitals under the Rural Private Hospitals Association suspended the use of SHA by patients, the adverse impact is slowly spreading. Patients now have to dig into their strained pockets to access healthcare, a scenario which the government had vowed to eradicate with the introduction of the new medical cover. Eric Yogo, who brought in his son for treatment, says he has lost confidence in hospitals.
In life, you have to do the best for your person. Unakimbilia mahali unajua ukienda utasaidika haraka. So nimekimbilia hapa, at least niweze kusaidika haraka. Kufika hapa naambiwa SHA ifanye kazi kwote. So I have to pay. Hii maneno ya SHA ifanye kazi kabisa. Tulilazimishwa tulipe kwa mwaka mzima, lakini haitusaidia hata kidogo. Sasa sijui kama tutaenda kwa waganga kama wakati ya zamani ama tutafanya namna gani ili tupate matibabu.
RUFA had fingered SHA for, among other things, the blanket rejection of claims which have put facilities under financial constraints. Health workers have also jumped into the bandwagon, calling for immediate resolution of the impasse, which they say will impact the country's journey towards the realization of the UHC agenda.
We have hospitals that have actually closed shop. They cannot run, they can't pay bills, they can't pay water, they can't pay electricity. So they have to release patients to go home, and because they don't have the capacity to pay the healthcare workers.
Hatujalipa for the last 2 months. Sasa tunapata changamoto sana kukuwa na wagonjwa wetu inpatient. Outpatient we can manage in a way, lakini sasa mwenye anakaa kwa ward lazima akule afanye hizo services, inabidi sasa walipe.
Among the demands listed by RUFA include the reversal of rejections claimed by the facilities under its umbrella, the payment of outstanding claims dating back to 2017, as well as the establishment of an independent dispute resolution tribunal. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
A week after lecturers and university staff began their nationwide strike, they remain adamant that they will not return to lecture halls until the government settles their 7.9 billion shilling CBA arrears. The protesting lecturers and workers who marched to the National Assembly and the National Treasury to submit their petition have told of Education Cabinet Secretary Migos Ogamba over threats of disciplinary measures against lecturers for defying a court order stopping the strike. The Dons say the 2.7 billion shillings released by the government is too little to cover the pending arrears, as Gatete Njoroge now reports.
For the second week, learning in public universities remain paralyzed. Students forced to learn outside lecture halls, while others engage in sporting activities. Their lecturers and other university staff members are out in the streets demanding their rights. In Nairobi, hundreds of Dons first congregated at University of Nairobi before marching through Nairobi CBD and all the way to the National Assembly. Their presence here was to present a petition to MPs who are charged with the duty of allocating funds.
We have brought officially the petition to this August House because it is here where budgets and government money are appropriated. And therefore, we must bring it here and ensure that they, as they appropriated that money, they must tell the relevant government agencies to pay us our 7.9 billion. We are not going to be slaves anymore. Yesterday night, I was told CS Ogamba was telling us to go back to work. No. I want to tell him, we shall not go back to work come what may. Yes. You must pay us 7.9 billion.
The lecturers have told off Education Cabinet Secretary Migos Ogamba, who threatened disciplinary action against them for being on strike despite a court order issued stopping them.
Don't threaten us. Yeah. Never. You also have our judgment. Yeah. On our judgment. Yeah. We have also cited for you for contempt. Yes. Let us meet in court.
I'll be pursuing whatever you are asking the way I've been pursuing every other time. Is it? And you know very well in a contract, when the two enter into a contract, they must honor it. Yes. You know that? Yes.
The Ministry of Education says it has released 2.7 billion shillings owed to teachers in the current CBA and called for patience in addressing the previous debt owed by previous regimes.
We have already paid the 2.73 billion shillings. And so then they raised the issue of a legacy debt. That is something that came out of court for the 2017-2021 CBA. So we are appealing to the lecturers that we have already resolved the current issue and there's a lawful conciliation process that's going on.
This other issue that is now coming is an issue for discussion. You can't discuss it and go on strike at the same time. Okay. So this is like introducing challenges along the way to make it difficult for us to resolve the issue. All we are urging the lecturers is there is a problem, let us deal with it on the table. In the meantime, go on with lecturing because there's a court order saying go back to class.
From the National Assembly, the group marched to National Treasury to seek audience with officials. The streets of Bomet and Nyeri counties also witnessed similar scenes. Lecturers walked around the towns, blowing vuvuzela, carrying placards and demanding for their rights. The lecturers who termed the 2.73 billion shillings released by government as a drop in the ocean want the full arrears cleared. They also want CS Ogamba to come to the table and initiate negotiations for 2025-2029 CBA. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Police in Nairobi say they are still investigating the mysterious death of a woman at a building where she worked in Kilimani. Zaituni Kavaya died after falling from the building, prompting her relatives and the Domestic Workers Union to stage a protest today demanding justice. Citizen TV is in possession of exclusive video footage that has emerged showing what transpired before her death, as Ode Francis now reports.
A day after Zaitun Kavaya's family received the results of a postmortem indicating she died from blunt force trauma, the video footage we obtained paints a clearer picture of the moments leading up to the incident. In this video, a man wearing a white shirt is seen on an upper floor, 5th floor, holding the woman briefly before letting her go. She manages to descend to the lower floor after successfully navigating from the 5th floor. Here, 3 women appear to speak to her, but she continues down to the 3rd floor. At this point, she is seen conversing with unidentified individuals for a while before the situation appears to deteriorate. On this 3rd floor section of the building, the woman seems unable to find a place to hold on to, as the area is enclosed with glass panels. Exclusive images show the woman dressed in a blue outfit with red and black blushes. On Wednesday, Kavaya's family and domestic workers' unions marched in the afternoon from Kibera, where she lived, to Kilimani, the site of her death, later meeting with the Kilimani police commander to demand answers.
Inafanywa na DCI na yangu tu ni kuhakikisha kwamba tumeendelea na uchunguzi na Zaitun atapata haki. Zaitun atapata haki yake. Yule mtu atapatikana na hatia atachukuliwa hatua kulingana na sheria.
Tunaomba rais wetu pia aweke hizo na wapitishe ratification of C189 and C190. Now, not only paperwork, but we need action.
All eyes are now on investigators to determine what truly happened before Zaitune Kavaya's death. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
An unfortunate story there, and we hope that justice can be found. Ramogi FM, one of Royal Media Services' leading radio stations broadcasting in the Luo, is celebrating 22 years on air. Royal Media Services Director of ICT and Radio, Fred Afune, assured listeners that the station will continue to deliver programs that not only entertain and educate, but also preserve culture and tradition. The station has been lauded for consistently highlighting key societal issues, ranging from youth empowerment to holding leaders accountable.
I think we have a long way to go, but we'll keep doing it. And I know Ramogi, having given birth to Ramogi TV, having given birth to the online digital platforms that we have, but that are communicating in that platform, as technology works, many more will continue doing many more. And there's a new crop of talent also that's coming along that is acquiring that culture of success, the culture of it's always very difficult when you go to a leading station because you must maintain that leadership position. When you're at the top, everybody's looking at you. It's easier to hide when you're not in the top and stuff, but it's not easy. So Ramogi is an authority in the region, in the country, and we will continue doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
We assure you that moving forward, we are going to give you content that will resonate with your needs as our audiences, that will transform your lives. The station, ideally, the main mantra that has been pushing us as teams behind this brand is to transform our people's lives through programming that will educate them, that will inform them, and that will entertain them.
Indeed, congratulations to Ramogi FM as they turn 22. And we're still here on JKL, the bench, having a conversation with the former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka. And we just ran a few stories. One of them is on the Social Health Authority and the challenges that are there. Patients are reporting to hospitals, challenges to access healthcare, of course, because the RUPA associated hospitals have rejected giving credit to SHA. I don't know what your thinking is on the situation of SHA and the health care in the country at the moment.
Our thinking, some has been very clear. We simply called this whole thing about SHA, she, a scam. And it is coming out to be exactly that. This afternoon, Professor Diang'ui called me from Texas. Can you imagine? And said he has to send money to a hospital to get a relative released because SHA could not pay. So what does that tell you? Kenyans from every part of the world are feeling that this scam should come to an end. And so we must continue to call out this administration for bringing in things that are not, whatever William Ruto and his administration have tried to touch, really, it's not working. And so NHIF could have been reformed, and Kenyans would not be struggling the way they are. It's very, very painful to see the suffering of our people because people are collecting money, a cartel, right? Remember this SHA thing was part of the Adani deals, right? It was a part of the, it really was part of Adani deals along with JK Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, which of course we stopped in court on his tracks until William Ruto had to withdraw it in Parliament. So it's part of it. That's come. So we will continue to tell this administration that the right to health, the right to education, the right to food, to actually get quality food, is an Article 43 right. These are Article 43 rights, and we keep on saying they are not keen, some, about really pursuing what our Constitution, our supreme law of the land says, right? So it's people who saw themselves to office without internalizing what they are swearing themselves to. So it has been said by a very famous professor who has since arrested, the late Okoth Ogendo. The problem with Kenya is that we are not short of a constitution, but constitutionalism is what is lacking.
So tell me...
all these things are related to, as I said, Article 43 rights.
So tell me, because the stats from the Ministry of Health talk about 26 million registered users of SHA.
Yeah.
Of course, the contributors are different, way lower. And their hopes and aspirations are in SHA. What would be the solutions you propose to the current situation? Because so much time has been spent. The law currently in Kenya can only recognize SHA, not NHIF. Solutions?
You know, in less than 2 years, we'll have to sort this thing out, along with other big problems like the infamous housing fund, housing levy, the overtaxation. Do you realize that for SHA, Kenyans are paying 2.7% of their income to get fellow citizens treated? Where is that money going to? You know, Kenyans are very generous people. They don't mind paying. Of course, if it is high taxation, they must, of course, bring it out. But even what is paid is not utilized. It looks like there's a bottomless pit somewhere. Maybe this is what you are seeing in State House with these many delegations. You've just seen, I'm sure you're coming to this thing about university lecturer strike. 10,000 teachers going to get paid 100 million shillings just like that. And you do not have money, to honor the CBA with university lecturers.
So,
and you're making them look like children.
I hear you say that in 2 years you have to have a conversation, but how do you resolve it? Patients are not getting...
It's a William Ruto problem right now.
Right.
He has to lie on that bed. I saw the other day, even the health workers, community health workers, everybody's getting cheated out of their livelihood. And now saying the county governments should take them up and pay. And then I saw something very unique. People are pledging to say, I think, is given 4 million shillings to pay for from other people to join the registration of SHA. Ridiculous things are happening in our country. So this is not the country we would want to live in, for sure.
So
and yet we must do something.
If your side of politics were to win the presidency in 2027?
We will win the presidency. If this is a country I've grown in, and I'm seeing for the first... Yeah, please do.
So if you were to win the presidency, what solution would you propose? Because even then, unless there's a review of the law, it will still recognize SHA and the structure as it is.
Well, it's not difficult to get Parliament to redo the whole thing. Have an amendment to the SHA Act, Social Health Act, whatever it is. Just amend it. And perhaps just revert to NHIF with also amendments and reform. The whole thing, the bottom line, Sam, is stealing of public funds. This is the whole thing. It's like these people in a hurry to steal everything.
You believe SHA resources are being stolen?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I told you it's part of the Andani deals, all right? I told you that. And of course...
I didn't understand how.
Yeah, well, if you followed the story about the Andani deals, you'll have realized that Safaricom, for example, were in this a certain percentage because they have the formula, the formula that the software that is supposed to run SHA is related to Safaricom.
Yes, the
and somebody somewhere in Dubai or wherever is supposed to get a cut. This is the whole problem. This is the whole thing.
I thought they were coming together to create the system that would run different operations, including...
Yeah, then let us see results. Where are the results? Patients are detained in hospitals.
Right.
Relatives are calling from all over the world to try and do something. What is the problem? It's simple.
Right. Before we take a break, on that question of lecturer strike,
yes.
Cabinet Secretary spoke to us yesterday, and he said that the initial resources that the lecturers were demanding of 2.73 billion shillings has already been released. And he said the lecturers are now coming up with new demands of more than 7 billion shillings as legacy debts owed by the government. You were once Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Education.
Minister of Education.
Right.
I never had university lecturers go on strike. I remember primary school teachers went on strike, and I just come from Foreign Affairs. I can tell you that some. I remember I said, because of the diplomatic approach to what I was used to, teachers are out there demonstrating outside Jogoo Road. A lot of wonderful ladies saying, Minister in baby face, sink with Kanu and not with teachers. Because I said, we are in this together. I would advise Minister C.S. Ogambo, who is a lawyer like me, advise him, please, hey, go down and talk to the people. It's all about university lecturers, and the situation is deeper, even beyond the CBA, the university dons are talking about. And a week ago, I hosted some of them in a ranch somewhere in Yatta, and I'm aware of what they are going through. The collapse of our university education is even more painful. It is worse, some, than what you are seeing. You saw thousands of university lecturers in the streets, in Bomet, in Nairobi. They are not mad people. They love their country, and they are pained. These are some of the best minds we have in the country.
All right.
So to get them onto the streets without engaging them is really a shame.
All right, we are taking a short break here on the JKL. We have some more stories, but also a conversation with the former Vice President on now the matters politics, what he thinks about what's going on there, and the plans within the United Opposition. You stay tuned for that. We're back in a moment. The Orthodox tea trading window has been launched at the Mombasa Tea Auction. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the move will improve production and export of specialty teas. According to Kagwe, the first batch of over 90,000 kilos of Orthodox tea is the first of many that will see farmers fetch higher prices, urging them to increase production to satisfy the growing global demand for specialty teas. In 2024, Orthodox tea prices ranged between $3.4 and $4.16 per kilo, with an average of 3.7 per kilo. This fetching more than the current average of just $2.28 per kilo for bulk crush tier Carl teas at the Mombasa auction. 15 companies have already been licensed.
But achievable, I believe, to grow installed Orthodox capacity from 15 million kilos in 2024 to 200 million kilos by 2030. Our teas are high altitude grown, naturally, chemical-free, and rich in aroma, giving them a strong competitive edge in organic and specialty markets. These are some of the advantages that we should highlight when we talk about our teas. Our mission is to raise the total tea earnings to Kenya shillings 270 billion by next year. Orthodox teas are a vital route to achieving this.
Owners under the banner of the Bars, Hotels and Liquor Traders Association of Kenya, BAKHLITA, together with retailers under the Retail Traders Association of Kenya, BRETRAC, have submitted a petition to the Senate asking the members to immediately stop further proceedings on the Tobacco Control Amendment Bill of 2024 and resubmit it for fresh public participation. According to BAKHLITA, the bill, as is, will lead to loss of jobs in the sector, as Jimmy Mbogo now reports.
Wednesday morning and the streets outside Parliament were filled yet again, this time with members of the Bars, Hotels and Liquor Traders Association of Kenya. Their aim to register their dissatisfaction with the proposals in the Tobacco Control Amendment Bill of 2024 as championed by nominated Senator Catherine Muma. According to BAKHLITA, the bill, which seeks to regulate the production, sale, advertisement and smoking of nicotine products, will negatively impact their businesses. They warn that the bill's provision will be duplicative, increasing the cost of licenses and resulting in over-regulation and costly approval process. Boniface Gashoka has a different proposal.
We are calling on the government and the proposer of a bill to embrace tobacco harm reduction. But by embracing tobacco harm reduction, it means it is going to reduce the harm that are related with tobacco. And that is taking issues like nicotine pouches, e-cigarette and what have you. We appreciate that there is control, but we want control with reason.
Through the bill, nominated Senator Catherine Muma seeks to stop the unchecked growth of nicotine use, particularly among adolescents and youth, by outlawing marketing tactics designed to attract minors, as well as criminalizing packaging that imitates toys, snacks or cartoons. The bill also targets the digital space, making it illegal to sell or advertise tobacco and nicotine products online or through influencers. Manufacturers and sellers will also require approval from the Cabinet Secretary for Health before dealing in any nicotine products, with strict limitation on nicotine levels in liquids and pouches. Sales through hawkers, mobile vendors or unlicensed outlets will also be outlawed, while county governments will gain powers to issue and regulate licenses.
This bill has already gone to the first stage and the second, and there was no public participation. The county, the Senate is a protector of the county. How can you do a public participation of 3 hours here and say there is public participation? So we have an opportunity to amend Tobacco Act in the right way. We must amend it. And that's why we are saying that we have come here to reject the Tobacco Amendment Bill.
The bill currently before the Senate is awaiting the committee of the whole House, where amendments introduced are expected to be voted upon. Balita is now urging the Senate not to pass the bill in its present form. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Livestock farmers in Murang'a County are turning to a little-known fodder crop, Trichanthera grass, as they search for sustainable and affordable feeds. The plant, originally from Latin America, is being hailed as a game-changer for boosting milk yields while cutting down the high cost of concentrates. Our reporter visited Murang'a and tells us more on this week's Smart Farm.
In the rolling hills of Ithanga, Murang'a County, a new type of fodder crop is quietly transforming livestock farming. Trichanthera gigantea, a leafy shrub resembling a tall, broad-leaved hedge, is gaining traction among farmers seeking reliable, low-cost animal feed.
So I came across now this plant called Trichanthera gigantea. It has high level of protein, high level of calcium, and it easily germinates from cuttings. So from my kind of research, I found that this can be a very good solution to improve productivity at the farm level that can help farmers to have more money in their pockets.
Kangethe started his trial with just a few cuttings in 2018. Today, his farm is lined with rows of the plant, thriving even in acidic and less fertile soils.
The plants you propagate from cuttings, and it grows between 0 to 200 meters above sea level. And it just requires good soil in terms of moisture, and that is it. Once you plant the plant, you harvest in between 8 to 10 months. And you can harvest every 3 months. And on average, you get 15 tons of green matter per hectare per year from this plant.
Beyond resilience, Trichanthera packs impressive nutritional value. Compared to Napier grass, Trichanthera offers nearly double.
Most of the grasses that we have is the crude protein is between, we have super Napier, which ranges from 16 to 18%, other Napiers 7 to 8%, but this offers 25 to 30% crude protein, which is quite high compared with the already existing plants.
Maintaining the crop requires minimal effort. Farmers need to weed, mulch to preserve soil moisture and ensure proper spacing. Once established, the crop provides feed for cattle, goats, sheep, pigs, and even poultry.
When the farmer plants this one and you feed with high crude protein and you feed your animals, it tends to increase the milk production. And we are saying we are looking at lowering the cost of production. So this is a good plus for increasing the milk production.
Despite its benefits, the adoption of Tricanthera is relatively low due to limited awareness among farmers. However, local farmers groups and cooperatives are stepping in, sharing cuttings and training their peers on best farming practices.
As at now, there is no commercial production of the leaves for feeding animals. But in future, we foresee more farmers, because they're looking for low costs of input for their production, embracing this plant.
Dennis Otieno, Smart Farm.
Business News, brought to you by Safaricom Business.
We choose partners with solutions that get us there. You could also power your progress. Join Safaricom Business today. Power your progress at business.safaricom.co.ke.
The National Parallel Athletics team is all set for the World Championships in Parallel Athletics. That is the first qualifying event for the 2028 Paralympic Games in Los Angeles, USA. The team, however, is not happy with the allowances paid by the government, demanding higher allowances before they depart for China. The Ministry of Sports has clarified that the allowances paid are as per the SRC rates that all national teams receive. The para-athletes are demanding the same rates paid to the athletics team that won 7 gold medals at the World Championships in Tokyo, Japan. The Tokyo team enjoyed higher perks following a presidential directive to increase the allowances to boost their morale. SRC is reviewing the rates before issuing a circular for the new rates for future championships. Now, the national under-20 women football team, the Rising Starlets, have intensified their training at the Ulinzi Sports Complex as they prepare to face Ethiopia in the return leg of the under-20 World Cup qualifier on Sunday at the same venue. The team has been boosted by the return of Vihiga Queens goalkeeper Mercy Akoth, who missed the first leg tie in Addis Ababa. Mercy was part of the Safaricom Chapadimba All-Stars that were in Spain when the Rising Starlets were in Ethiopia. That match in Ethiopia ended in a 1-1 draw, with Kenya now carrying the away goal advantage in the second leg. Coach Jacqueline Juma is working on the weaknesses from the first leg match. The team showed signs of improvement as they beat Ulinzi Starlets 2-0 in a friendly match on Wednesday afternoon at the Ulinzi complex. Ethiopia are expecting the country on Friday.
Wanajipush, alafu coaches pia hawajatuacha nyuma, wanatuambia tupush. Penye hatukufanya correct, tunafanya kwa zoezi, ndio tukifika kwa game itakuwa rahisi.